Today, I want to go ahead and talk about how me being a sexual abuse survivor and being married to someone with a narcissistic personality, that joining in together, how that perpetuated trauma for me and what I have done to overcome those things. Coming up next. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, I thank you so much for subscribing. And if you have already been following me, and especially on my journey in my marriage, married to someone that has a narcissistic personality, I thank you so much for your support. So today I want to talk a little bit about how I felt as a sexual abuse survivor and how, coming from that and healing, coming to a marriage where I'm facing someone that has a narcissistic personality. Someone that is narcissistic tends to be someone that is very cold to someone else's emotions. They lack empathy. They're very entitled people. They like to shift blame. When something goes wrong, they automatically blame the other person. In my experience with my marriage, though I want to go ahead and repeat, if you've taken a look at my recent videos, I have seen a lot of change in my husband, positive changes in my husband, and our marriage has gotten a whole lot better. He's worked on himself a lot. God has really showed up and showed out in my marriage. I want to go ahead and talk about how I felt as a sexual abuse survivor, because this is very important if you have suffered from sexual abuse and you find yourself or have found yourself dating or married to someone that is narcissistic, and how that can be so troubling in your mind. It could be so heavy in your heart, and I'll tell you why. As a sexual abuse survivor, when the abuse happens, the first thing that hits, very hard is a sense of shame and guilt. And one of the things that hits hard when you're a wife to a narcissist is that you feel as though you're not enough. You feel that you are to blame for all the things that go wrong in the marriage, and you begin to doubt yourself. Self-doubt settles in your heart, and it actually develops deep roots that becomes very hard for you to heal. Now, as a sexual abuse survivor, you also feel not only the shame, not only the guilt, but you also feel this sense of not being worthy. And when you are with a narcissistic person, they make you feel like you are unworthy. So if you can see how these things go hand in hand, you come to the relationship, you're a sexual abuse survivor, you already battle with feelings of unworthiness, you feel like you're not enough, you feel like everything, no matter what you do, nothing makes this other person happy. You feel, the shame of being stuck in this marriage where, your marriage doesn't add up or doesn't live up to the standard of, other Christian marriages. So there's this sense of loneliness and emotional abandonment. What do you do? What do we do when we go through that? If you are a sexual abuse survivor and you never realized that being with a narcissistic person, how it touched all those buttons of how you once felt, and that's why you're so stuck in this cycle of depression. That's exactly what I went through. I continue to go through cycles of depression, and I'm sorry because I'm getting very emotional, but I continue to be stuck in these cycles of depression because I continue to feel like all those feelings of unworthiness and not being enough and feeling shame and feeling guilt, like these problems are my fault. All of those things just came rushing back without me realizing that that's what they were. And so it's like now I have the pain from the past, and this husband, this person that I'm with, touching all those buttons and perpetuating all these these feelings that came about due to trauma. It can be so painful. And I found myself praying a lot. I found myself seeking worship every single day. I found myself writing. I found myself journaling. And that's one of the things that I want to share with you. When prayer isn't enough, when your moments of devotions are not enough, when talking to your friends brings no solace, it doesn't bring any sense of comfort or relief. One of the best things that helped me was to write. to write about my feelings and actually process those emotions word by word, and be able to experience them. But something happened when I journaled, and that is that I would put it out on paper. I would process those emotions, go through those experiences, whether I was thinking about my marriage or thinking about how I felt being, that I am a sexual abuse survivor, just going through those motions and writing it on paper. I just felt like it was a release. And I started researching, and I found that research and studies show that actually journaling is extremely helpful to help us process emotions. It helps us become mindful. It helps us become self-aware of our mind and what goes on in our mind, how we're thinking, what are these loops that we get into, and what triggers us going into these deep depressions. And I just want to encourage you today, if you are going through something, if you are a sexual abuse survivor and you are with someone who is narcissistic and they treat you with a lack of empathy, they're extremely invalidating, they're humiliating, or they belittle you, and your mind and your heart, without you noticing unconsciously, you're going back to that little girl that felt belittled, that felt ashamed, that felt alone. And this sense of aloneness brings about the sensation of being emotionally abandoned. I want you to know that you're not alone in those feelings. I empathize with you. I know what that's like. And I encourage you today, if that's what you're going through, get a sheet of paper, go on your computer, begin to write out those emotions, because the reality is that many people around us may not understand what it's like to be with someone that is narcissistic. They may not understand what it feels like to be belittled by someone that they love, or to feel as though they are not worthy, or to feel like no matter what they do, nothing is ever enough for them to be pleased or to be content with us. Write out everything that you're feeling, all your emotions, and tell me how that goes. Share with me and share with us on this channel. How has that been? What did you feel after after the fact, after writing? How did you feel about your day? Because for me, at least, going through the motions of depression or sadness or aloneness and then writing, I feel a sense of relief, and I can go about my day. Though I'm still sad, though I still feel kind of alone, I felt like, okay, fine, I was able to release what I had inside. And now I can go about my day peacefully. At least I get this sensation of peace. And that's what I want to urge you to pursue today. Pursue peace, pursue prayer. I think 2 years ago, I released a poetry book called Turning Pain into Poetry that you can go ahead and purchase by clicking the link down below. And I actually expressed almost every single painful moment that I had gone through in my marriage. And it was helpful. And I remember that it was a turning point in my life. So I encourage you to write your pain, put it on paper, and turn it into poetry. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing, and tune in for the next video. God bless you.